Obi Toppin is slowly becoming the player that he was supposed to be with the New York Knicks. As of late, Obi Toppin seems to be figuring things out and really took his game to the next level, especially with the increased playing time he's gotten as of late due to the fact that Julius Randle has been out of the lineup with an injury. But quickly, before we get the video started, for those of you who may not know, I'm Juicy Sports. I make opinionative NBA content, and if you guys enjoy videos similar to this, hit that subscribe button, that like button, and that post notification bell. But anyways, let's get into it.
Oh yeah, I work with the medics. I'm about to get you injected. I got a couple connections so I can get you prosthetics.
Obi Toppin was drafted with the number 8 overall selection in the 2020 NBA draft by the New York Knicks. And going into that year's draft, Obi was seen as one of the more hyped prospects of that draft class. And he was seen as a player with a pretty high floor. And going into Obi's rookie season with the Knicks, it was going to be very interesting to see how many minutes Obi would actually get due to the fact that Julius Randle was still on the team at that point. And at that point, a lot of Knicks fans didn't necessarily like Julius, and they thought Obi Toppin would eventually take over Julius Randle's minutes and he would be the starting power forward for the Knicks that year. But of course, as we all know at this point, Julius Randle ended up having the best season of his career and absolutely went off that year. And due to that fact, Obi didn't necessarily get the same opportunity that a lot of people expected him to get on draft day. And after his rookie season, Obi only averaged around 4 points per game on 49% shooting from the field, 2.2 rebounds, and only 0.5 assists as well. And although it was pretty clear that Obi's numbers were suppressed in his rookie year due to the fact that he wasn't playing all that many minutes, there still were some concerns about Obi after his rookie year. Although Obi was certainly showing some flashes in his rookie year, at least to me personally, it looked like he was just a little bit nervous out there, which of course does make sense because he was in his rookie season and of course he got drafted to the Knicks, who he was a fan of basically his entire life. But it just seemed like out there he was moving a little too fast and basically just trying to do way too much out there. He had a bunch of moving screen calls, he turned the ball over offensively a little too much. He especially had some issues with that corner 3-point jump shot where he airballed a bunch of threes. Whenever he posted up, it seemed like he just didn't have all that much patience out there and he would just put up somewhat of a bad shot, honestly. And overall in his rookie season, it certainly was a little bit of a disappointment. Although I will say, once going into the playoffs, funny enough, he actually played very, very well in my opinion, and certainly did give a bunch of Knicks fans hope based upon the performance he did show. Now, one thing I do want to say, to be fair to Obi in his rookie season, is the Knicks didn't necessarily have all that many players that were looking for Obi cutting all the way to the basket and just making his life a lot easier. The only guy that was really doing that for Obi was Derrick Rose, and of course he wasn't playing on the court all the time. But when D-Rose wasn't playing, it didn't seem like all that many other players really were trying to make the effort to get Obi involved. At least in my opinion, that's what it seemed like. But going into Obi's second season for the Knicks, which is this year, Obi's averaging around 8 points per game on 52% shooting, 3.6 rebounds, and 1 assist to his game as well. Now, of course, once again, the numbers that Obi was putting up in his second season weren't all that impressive, but of course the same issue was still there, the fact that Obi just wasn't getting a lot of minutes out there either. But of course, at the same time, it was pretty clear that Obi was playing a lot better in his second year than he was in his first season. But as of late, Obi Toppin really seemed to figure out his game and is playing much better out there for the Knicks. In some of his recent games, Obi Toppin is putting up some really good numbers. He had an 18-point game, 15 points, 17 points, 20, and 20 back-to-back. And of course, a major factor for why Obi's putting up much better numbers and is just playing better out there in general is due to the increased opportunity that he has got due to Julius Randle being out a little bit as of late. And even besides Julius Randle being out, Obi certainly has been getting a much bigger opportunity as of late. But the biggest reason, in my opinion, why Obi is playing so much better is due to the fact that, in my opinion, it really looks like Obi is gaining a ton of confidence out there. And I mentioned this in some of my videos, but confidence is one of, if not the most important thing for these young NBA players and just players in general. When you have all the confidence in the world, you can be a much better player than your talent would suggest, but vice versa, if you have no confidence out there, you could be a much worse player than your talent would suggest. And even if you're a superstar type talent, if you have no confidence out there, maybe you could be a player that could be out of the league in a few years. Confidence is that important for players. But now let's take Obi's game point by point to really describe why he's playing so well as of late for the Knicks. Now, starting with Obi's 3-point jump shot, this is certainly an aspect of his game that he really improved as of late and is a huge reason why he's playing so much better. But from that 3-point area, Obi is now able to spread the floor at a pretty efficient rate as well, which is extremely important because when guys like RJ Barrett or maybe Alec Burks are driving all the way to the basket, Obi now has a pretty nice ability to spread the floor either from the corner or from the wing or top of the key or wherever, and he's actually hitting that 3-point jump shot at a pretty good percentage as of late as well. And just shooting a decent percentage from 3 and being able to spread the floor at least decently effectively is very important for any team, but especially a team like the Knicks. Because in the past for Obi, he was shooting around 20% from deep, which obviously is not good whatsoever. But now talking about Obi's mid-range jump shot, this is another area of Obi's game that he's actually starting to work in a little bit as well. He has a pretty nice pull-up mid-range jump shot that he's shown off a little bit. He has somewhat of a post turnaround fadeaway within his game. Of course, he doesn't use it all that often, but he does have it within his game. Once driving all the way to the basket, of course, this is Obi's best ability. He has a great ability to get some posterizing dunks in the pick and roll offense, or maybe just cutting all the way to the basket. He honestly also has somewhat of a decent ability to finish around the basket with crafty layups, either his left or right hand, and overall, once driving all the way to the basket, Obi of course is very effective at doing so. But now talking about one aspect of his game that it seems to me personally that Obi improved significantly, and that would be his ball handling ability. Now Obi has a pretty nice ability to really create his own shot, either if he crosses over into a 3-point jump shot, maybe dribbles into a pull-up mid-range jump shot, or uses a nice behind the back dribble to drive all the way to the basket and elude whatever defender's guarding him. Overall, the ball handling ability that Obi has at this point is certainly very good for a power forward, and really just good in general, honestly. His ball handling ability is certainly very good. Now Obi's passing and playmaking ability was never really seen as all that good, and still at this point it's not really all that great either, but he does have a nice ability to find open players cutting all the way to the basket, or maybe in the corner for a wide open 3-point jump shot. But overall, the biggest key for Obi, as I mentioned, even besides all his individual attributes that he has improved this season, the biggest thing and the reason why he's playing so much better as of late is his confidence, of course. Now Obi still does need to improve certain aspects of his game, especially his defensive ability, but I think the recent stretch that Obi has shown is a great sign for him long term. But now, what are my personal expectations for Obi Toppin going forward long term? So the biggest key for Obi, of course, would be if Julius Randle is on the team next season or he's not. And in my opinion, I think there's a real possibility that Julius is not on the team next season, and if that were to be the case, I think of course Obi would get a much bigger opportunity and really have a better chance to prove what he can do out there in the court and continuously improve his game by getting minutes out there, of course. But if Julius Randle is on the team next season, I think Obi Toppin is basically going to have a similar season to what he had this year, maybe get a little bit better, but he's just not going to get the same opportunity that he would if Julius Randle is not on the team. But let's just say for the sake of the video that Julius Randle does get traded at the offseason and Obi Toppin is the starting level power forward. If that were to be the case, I think Obi could certainly average around 15, maybe even 16 points per game next season, which may sound a little crazy, but when you see how Obi's playing on this recent stretch and with the increased minutes that he has gotten, I think it's not all that crazy to say that Obi could average those numbers next year, especially with guys like RJ Barrett openly looking for Obi cutting all the way to the basket for easy dunks and layups, and just making his life a lot easier as of late as well. But long term, I think Obi certainly has the potential and the talent level to become an all-star type player long term, but the biggest key to that would just be on Obi. If he continues to work on his game each and every season and continuously improves his game each and every year and builds his confidence up each and every year, I certainly think he would have the capability to do so, but that is a big if for him. But we'll see what happens going forward for Obi. I certainly am very excited, especially after this late stretch he has had. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Obi Toppin could be a star long term, or do you not think so? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, check one of these 2 videos popping up now, and until the next time, peace out guys.
Oh yeah, I work with the medics. I'm about to get you injected. I got a couple connections so I can get you prosthetic. Hope you can't go where I'm headed.